time you log into a server, there is this silence question that you could be asking. Oh, okay, wait. Have you ever logged into a server and then begin to wonder, who else can actually have access to this server right now? Yes. Okay, so I would like you to imagine the server as the hospital. Of course, in an hospital setting, we have the reception, which is always open to everybody, and then we have the operational room, where patients are being taken care of, and is always restricted to trusted staff. So I like you to imagine the server as the hospital, and then also imagine SSH as the operating room, where only trusted IPs can be allowed to connect. All right, and then also imagine the HTTP as the reception. Of course, users need to access web applications. It is always open to everybody. All right. So today, I will be performing what I call firewall surgery. We'll block SSH traffic and give access only to trusted networks. Allow HTTP because of web applications, and then block every other doors permanently. Now, this is how real system administrators and DevOps engineers think about security. So let's get right into the demo.
Okay, so first of all, I need you to understand that on many servers, the firewall is either disabled or
too open, which is actually very, very dangerous. So let's see the current state of our firewall. Now, this we can use the command sudo ufw status that add reboots or so. Okay, so what this means is that currently we don't even have UFW installed. So what we need to do is to update our server and then install UFW. Let's update our server. Update. Okay, so we are working on updating our servers. Okay, now that our server is being updated, let's try out installing UFW again. Okay, so it's working now. We need to update our server to get that installed. Okay, let's check back the status. All right, status inactive. So what this means is that currently our server is so insecure. Firewall is not active, it is not enabled. It also means that anybody can actually SSH into this server. All right, so we are going to enable UFW, and this we can use sudo UFW enable. Oh my bad. Firewall is active and enabled on system startup. All right, so let's check back our status. You see, active. So firewall now is actually active. All right, we can go ahead and configure the IP addresses that we need to access our server. Okay, so now the next step is that we are going to allow SSH connection only from trusted networks. All right, and in this particular demo, I'll be using 192.168.50.0/24 network. Now, what this means is that all the IP address range that within this particular network that I've mentioned are going to have access to my server through SSH connection. Outside this IP address range, everyone else is completely locked out. All right. Now, this is how production servers are protected. So let's see the command that we need to use. Sudo ufw allow from 192.168.50 15.0/24 network. All right. So any port into we can add through to TCP. See, rule added. Now let's check back our status. All right, so as you can see, we have that IP addresses within this particular network range is going to have SSH connection to this server. Aside from this particular IP address range, there's no other person. Why? Because if we check here by default, UFW is set to deny all incoming traffic, allow outgoing traffic, disable route. So except you explicitly define particular IP range, definitely you cannot have connection to the server. All right. The next step is that we are going to allow HTTP from anywhere. Now, web servers are meant to be public. That's why. All right. Now, port 80 is open to the world. That's because users need to access applications, but not the server itself. All right. So let's see the command to do this. Sudo ufw allow 80 TCP. Rule added. Let's check back our status. All right, you can see now that port 80 has been allowed from anywhere. Meanwhile, our SSH is only being allowed from explicitly defined network. All right. Okay, so now that we have explicitly defined the particular network range that we need to access our server through SSH, the next step would be for us to block everything else. All right. Deny by default, allow by intention. This is actually the golden rule of security. What I want you to understand is that once you enable firewall rule on your system, on your server, now incoming traffics are always denied by default. But then for you not to even take chances, all right, it's always advisable that you run a command by yourself. So let's do that. Sudo ufw deny incoming. All right. See, default incoming policy change to deny. Be sure to update your rules accordingly. All right. So now that we've denied incoming, let's do same to outgoing. On the other hand, we are going to allow outgoing. You can just use this. and then change this to allow outgoing. Okay. So what this means is that anything we do not explicitly define or allow is blocked. Right? Okay, so now that we have set up our firewall rules, the next thing or the last thing would be for us to verify. Now, a good system administrator does not assume, they always confirm. So let's verify. And also, our expected output would be that SSH should be allowed from a specified IP address range, and then HTTP should also be allowed from anywhere, since users need to access applications. All right, and then the last would be that all incoming traffic should be denied, exception of the IP address that we specified before. So let's check. Sudo status. We can add numbered so that we see the numbers of the rule. All right. So the number one, we actually allow SSH connection through this IP. Number two, we also allowed HTTP from anywhere. And then let's add reboots so that we can see. Yes. Now, if we check up here, you see that by default, incoming traffic is denied and outgoing traffic is allowed. All right. So this was what I was looking for. So this wraps up the whole firewall setup. Okay. So now, one last thing that I need you to understand is that up until now, we've not started our firewall rule. What we did before was just to enable it, which actually means that even after a reboot, the rules are still going to be persistent. All right. So let's confirm this. Sudo system ctl status. All right. So if you check the output, you see that already we have enabled the firewall. But if we check down, you see it is still inactive. Why? Because we have not started it. All right. We've not started the service. All right. So let's do that. You can come in here and say start. Let's check back. Active, you see, it's very active now.
All right, so if this helps you, like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next one.